All right, guys, welcome back to Hobson's Choice Harleys. It's Father's Day, so any of you fathers, happy Father's Day. Working today on the 81 FLT. We've got some parts sold off of this thing. I've got the luggage rack sold, the inner primary sold, maybe the outer. He's not sure if he wants both. He definitely wants the inner. So we got to pull this off, which is going to involve the floorboard and the shifter linkage, inner and outer primary, the clutch basket. So if you guys are watching this and any of this stuff floats your boat, let me know. I had a couple guys interested in the oil cooler up here. A lot of neat parts on this bike. And again, I am going to sell the motor and transmission. So this is an 80 cubic inch running Shovelhead motor. I'll sell you the motor and the tranny, or either or in pieces, however you want to do it. I'm not going to break the motor up. I did have somebody wanted to get that cover plate for the transmission, and I'm like, nah. Complete units will be sold as complete units. So let me know if you need anything, and I appreciate you watching. So today, again, we're just doing tear down. The knuckle we talked about last week, we're working on. We got the front end on. Was digging through my parts, and I found the beehive light that I needed and the license plate bracket for it. So that's pretty cool to stumble across that. Finding all kinds of stuff in my boxes of parts that I didn't know I had, or I had forgot that I had, which is kind of fun. So we're about to see how much oil is in this thing. And a couple months ago in a video, when I first put this out, I don't know if it was on video or just in the groups, somebody was looking for this shifter assembly bracket, because I guess they're only on these FLTs. So it's this whole crossover assembly bracket. If whoever he is out there watching, give me a shout. We just kind of got lost in the shuffle, and I don't know if I forgot to shoot a message back, or if we just, maybe he just said screw it and was tired of waiting for me. I don't know. But some of these specialty parts that are for these bikes only. There was also another guy that was interested in some of the brackets that hold the foot pegs, because they're very year and type specific. He got a little wonky because he thought I should be giving the stuff away. And I wasn't looking for big money, but in his opinion, that was big money. I don't remember what it was. I think I told him 75 bucks for all the shift linkage brackets, and he thought that was too much. So that's all right. I mean, my prices aren't the cheapest. My prices aren't the most expensive. My prices are what I think was fair. And if someone wants to be respectful, keyword respectful, and say, hey, I need that part and I can only afford this, or I think it's only worth that, to a point, I'm willing to listen to that. I had one guy that commented on the oil cooler and tried to lowball me by 50% what I offered him. And it's like, okay, all these parts are for sale, guys, but they're not on sale. I got to pay my light bill just as well as everybody else. And every one of these bikes you see came at a cost to me. Ain't nobody gave me anything. So even the ones I have to part out, I got a lot of money vested in just buying the machines before I part them out. Take that with a grain of salt or don't, but that's where I'm at. So this primary, I believe, is aftermarket. I don't know. I'm not too versed in the 1980 and up. Most everything I've done Shovelhead is actually 78 and older. So I'm not real versed on what parts are aftermarket. I know that Harley started coming out with a lot of chrome on their machines about that time. So this could be factory. I don't know. We'll see once we get it off. We'll flip it upside down. If it's factory, it'll have a Harley stamping on it and a part number. Either which way, it's dusty because it's set outside, but it's clean. There's no road rash on this side. Chrome's in good shape. No cracking, no peeling. It's just dusty. It'll clean right up. Luckily, when this bike got T-boned, it was on the other side of the bike. So the other side took quite a beating. This side, she's pretty clean. We're about to rain oil here in just a minute, guys. I think we're going to rain oil. I don't know how much oil was in this primary. All right. Is that all of them? Pretty much. Now this bracket is going to be in the way. So that's the other shifter bracket, or the foot peg bracket I was talking about. See this bracket here? That's FLT. It might actually fit FLH too. It's not like the Shovelhead. The Shovelhead brackets, actually most of them go back even to the panheads, will all interchange. These brackets are pretty specific to the touring models only. And I know it's just a chunk of steel, but it's a chunk of steel that will hold that footboard the way it was designed. So again, if you think I'm going to give that away, I'm not. Make me a fair offer because you've got an 81 FLT or something along those lines and you need it to make your bike right. I'm all for that. I mean, half of doing this is helping guys keep their knees in the breeze on these old machines. Dusty and crusty. So let's see what we got here. These sevens. think since last time we played out here and filming, I've actually went through and cleaned all my tools, wiped everybody down, put them back in their spot. And then I get in a little project like this and I scatter tools all the way around. It's a never ending. It's kind of funny. The other side, this half moon floorboard, the other side got totally crunched, demolished in the wreck. And I was going through my parts the other day and I should have took it out, but in a box somewhere I had a single one of these in the same condition. And I thought to myself, I'll never use that. Well, turns out that I will use it because this bike, one got crunched. So go figure. All right. So that's that shifter bracket. You watch, it's going to be a 9/16. Yep. Well, let's just see. We'll grab a 9/16 and a mallet. And where is my mallet? There we go. So that's that shifter bracket. I think the guy actually just wanted that block, but that's the whole assembly if somebody's looking for it. That was probably the drain plug that I should have done first. Again, a guy that works on shovels, old shovels all the time. These touring bikes are all new to me. So yeah, that case is ready to come off. It's dripping over here, but we'll let it drain. Not a whole lot of oil in there though. And she's nasty, grimy oil too. This has got that great, big, chunky, thick gasket in it. So it might have silicone on it. It's hard to say. I hate to put anything there and pry it because you always ding up the surfaces. Here she comes. Voila. Okay. So there's aftermarket, it looks like. So I'm not seeing any, I've got HD on the cover plate, but I'm not seeing HD anywhere else. I'm gonna put that thrust washer in here so we don't lose it. 9110, I don't know what that is, but that's aftermarket. This here is all original. This is stock. So we're gonna pull the clutch basket off, the compensator off, this oiling system off, jack shaft, and all that apart so we can get this primary out for the guy who's interested in it. So just keep turning wrenches. Let's start with this. I do have the compressor loaded up to see if we can get this compensator off first. All right, so we did off camera, just because the compressor is so loud, we did get the compensator nut to break free, actually pretty easily. The last one we did on film, my little, that I've had forever, my little 1/2 inch impact, that black wide glide we were working on not too long ago, it wouldn't even touch it. I had to buy a big 3/4. If you look at the condition of that compensator, yeah, it's not horrible, but there's a lot of slime and grime in there, man. Almost looks like rust, but it doesn't feel like it. Hard to say. All right, so we're gonna see. I'm gonna have to put a little tension on here, hopefully just enough. Yeah, just trying to break the clutch basket. I should have done that first, but got ahead of myself. And typically, I'll take that center adjuster out and I'll put a washer in here to hold the tension on those springs. So you can pull the whole pressure plate, the springs, and the adjustment plate all out as a one unit. I'm not too concerned. I'm just going to pull this one apart. And we'll see what condition the clutch plates and stuff are in. The chain's in good shape. The teeth on the fire, or the ring gear, look real good. So this is all good usable parts. And I think all this clutch basket stuff is all pretty universal. Even the older shovel heads will use it, and maybe even some of the Evos, I don't know. And again, if this wasn't on film, I would have my compressor or my little impact. I've got a little impact ratchet that I'd be pulling this all apart with the ratchet. But then you can't hear me or see me do stupid stuff like the one bolt that just came off of there that went in the oil. See, so that's what I was saying. When that assembly's on there, this bolt goes to that push rod for your transmission. That's your throw out for your clutch. You can take this nut off here, put a big washer on it, tighten that nut back up and compress those springs and pull that whole assembly out. Then you're not have to fight with the springs. But I've had to make a couple of those big washers that are big enough to go around that hole but not hit these nuts. I've made 3 of them, and all 3 of the ones I've made are in clutch baskets all together. So this basket's just going to come apart the way it sits. And look at that hub. It might come out pretty, it might not. Yeah, those are pretty glazed, which is funny because this is a, like I say, a running bike. I guess it's been 3 months now because it's set in my yard. But when I got this bike out of Pennsylvania, I fired her up and rode her quite a bit. She's a good running bike. But like any 40-year-old shovelhead, there's definitely some maintenance issues. Okay, so now we're going to pull the compensator. Let's get this shoe and oil assembly thing out of here. So it's not a guarantee, but typically you see that type of pinch bolt on an oil line, that's factory. I don't use that style. I just use a regular hose clamp. So I'm kind of wondering if this machine from 1981 has never been a part inside here. Look at the level of funk in there. Yeah. So a lot of times these dogs, you'll be able to like rock them. And that's where you get a bunch of chatter and you get a bunch of walking on your transmission when you're in gear or when you're got your clutch detached, and you'll be at the light and it's like rocking and shaking, and no matter what you do to adjust the clutch, a lot of that is the grime and grease buildup in your basket, and a lot of it are these dogs that engage your steel plates are loose and everything's kind of like chattering in there. Be amazed how much you can gain just by putting new fibers and new steels in your basket. So now I'm looking for, so I just said how that hose crimp is that hose crimp clamp looked factory, and down inside here, the other one, the other side of it is a standard hose clamp. So has somebody been in here? Oh, guaranteed. Let me get this off and I'll show you why I can guarantee it. And I think we talked about it in one of the previous videos. If you can see, safety wire here, it's been twisted through the holes. So if one of those keeps those from backing out, this one back here has the hole, has the lock tab. Neither of those have been engaged. So that tells me straight up, somebody's been in here and didn't put a safety wire back on it. All right, I'm just trying to get down to that hose clamp. Wow, okay, that came out pretty easily. Okay, look at this, guys. This fiber ring is what keeps you from chewing up. Let's see if I can get it off and explain it right. So it keeps you from chewing up the back of your basket. So this actually rides in here, and that's your buffer zone. It ain't supposed to be there. See the rivets? How they've worn completely out and burned through? That thing is broken free of the rivets. And it might be a blessing that this thing got wrecked when it did, because something like that, you could shell that clutch basket and send all of these parts bouncing around in here. Probably wouldn't be catastrophic or dangerous to the rider. It could be, but it definitely would be catastrophic to this whole inner primary. You get metal bouncing around in here, you got a world of hurt. And it wasn't far from that. In fact, it was scarily close to that. Okay, so safety wire, it looks like, okay, so there's a safety wire here. It's not really tied to anything. Yeah, we got one here. So it has been safety wired, which is good. So now we're going to see how seized is this. And I know for sure I'm going to need an impact to get that off. And I probably should have done that first. We'll see. And this is so rusty and crusty. I'll save it in case someone's in a pinch, but this isn't something you really want to run. I can wire brush all this and maybe clean it up. And we'll see how the fibers fit on there. If any of these arms are bent, your clutch plates don't slide on it, and it gets really, like I was talking about before, it lights, you can't get the clutch to disengage or engage correctly and stuff. So just typical of 40 and 50-year-old bikes. The maintenance on them is never performed right or kept up with, and when you open them up, it's pretty obvious that they've been abused, used, and put away wet. So let's see if we can just cut this hose just to get it out of our way. We would never reuse that old beat up hose anyway. And after all this, I hope that gentleman that wants this clutch basket or this inner primary is serious, because it's a lot of work. And then I got more parts scattered all over in my garage that I can't move in now. Okay, so is this our same Allen key here? That's definitely improvement. So on your older shovel heads, this is a flat-headed screw, and you want to talk about a nightmare to get out. Wow, maybe I spoke too soon. There it goes. Okay, so I got it to break free, and now I got my wrench stuck in there. So we're gonna have to tighten it back just snug, enough to get my wrench out. He hopes. Wow.